2024 ARB meeting to order. We do not have anybody participating remotely tonight, so I'm going to skip that motion. We do have to make a motion about public comment time limitations. The ARB needs to determine how long each member of the public will be able to speak during the public comment periods. The public will be allowed to comment after consent agenda items and after each action item is a standard ARB practice. And I would entertain a motion regarding public. Yes.
I move that each member of the public have 3 minutes to speak.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Burns. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. I notify everybody that this meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted online within 10 days. As is our standard tradition here at the ARB, we read the statement of purpose and intent of historic overlay districts. And this evening, Ms. Hammock has agreed to read the statement.
Historic overlay districts are created for the purpose of promoting the general welfare, education, economic prosperity, and recreational pleasure of the public through the perpetuation of those general areas or individual structures and premises that have been officially designated by the Board of Supervisors as having historical, cultural, architectural, and archaeological significance. Regulations within such districts are intended to protect against the destruction of or encroachment upon such areas, structures, and premises, to encourage uses which will lead to their continuance, conservation, and improvement in a manner appropriate to the preservation of the cultural, social, economic, political, architectural, or archaeological heritage of the county. To prevent creation of environmental influences adverse to such purposes, and to assure that new structures and uses within such districts will be in keeping with the character to be preserved and enhanced.
Thank you, Ms. Hammock. The next item is we need to approve the agenda. Members have had an opportunity. Does anybody have any changes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Wasn't there an item removed from the agenda?
Yeah, I will note that there was a workshop item that was removed from the agenda. The agenda that we have in front of us now has that workshop item removed
Okay.
already, but yes. Mr. Plumpy.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the revised agenda as stated in the agenda.
Is there a second? Ms. Murray, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. I'll remind applicants to please limit your project presentations to 8 minutes for a first submission and for any resubmissions, 3 minutes. Daniel, do we have any guests we need to recognize or introduce this evening?
We have Stephanie Newman from the Planning Division stepping in for Jonathan, for those of you who have not met her. So,
Stephanie's the History Commission, part of the History Commission staff liaison.
Stephanie, welcome. And thank you for joining us.
Excellent person.
All right. We do not have any consent items on the agenda this meeting. The first action item we have is ARB 24-LOR-049311 Quadrangle Street Solar, located at 9311 Quadrangle Street in the Laurel Hill MOA eligible area. The applicant is proposing the installation of 12 roof mounted solar panels. Mr. Bringhurst represents the application. Sir.
So that's the application for this first one for 12 panels. This is a flat rooftop, so it will be with a ballast system, so a weighted system. You won't really see them on top of that roof in that case, the way this house is set up. So I remember from last time I came, you guys wanted pictures where we would put wiring and components. So right above the meter, right here in this area, we'll have a combiner panel about this big, and then a disconnect box about this big for emergency shut off. And then if you can go down to another picture, that one. All conduit will be painted on the side of the home to match the house. For example, this is a different house, but the conduit's painted to blend in, and then that's the combiner panel and the disconnect. Okay. This is not as big of a deal because you guys won't be able to see the panels on these rooftops, but we use the black on black solar panels, the sleek clean looking ones. They don't have all the grid lines in them, okay? Another example of that. Yeah, cool. Well, okay, and then this one, like I said, is on a ballast. So it's a weighted system and just laid out on across the roof. Really what to go around this. Any questions about that, or I'm not the operations manager. I'm actually the sales manager, but and he was supposed to be here, so I don't know if I can give you much more technical stuff, but let me know if I need to provide anything else with that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Before I turn to my fellow board members, are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Not seeing any, I'll turn it over to my fellow board members for any questions or comments. Mr. Kalinsky.
Can we go back to the pictures of the unit itself? The elevation pictures, please.
Next one.
Back again, right there. Can you zoom in on the upper right-hand corner one?
It's not,
As one as if the applicant, can you show us where that conduit's going to run on there?
So we'll come out of this. So we run the conduit through, well, this case on a ballast, we won't be. So we'll be coming out through here somewhere and then run down, straight down on either side of this little, whatever these are. So probably right inside there. To connect.
Is it a parapet wall at the top that you're coming through? Are you coming over or coming through? Is it a gutter that you're wrapping over?
Normally, when it's an attic, we're going through the attic and then coming out of the soffit or right out of the actual side of the wall. But because this is a flat roof, to be honest, the operations manager would be able to help me with that question, because that one, I'm thinking we're gonna have to go on around the gutter as far as I can tell, but I wish I had an answer for you.
Daniel, is there like a standard that we have for this sort of application that kind of lists the things that we should see?
That is what we're developing with the submission matrix.
Okay.
So not currently, but from past solar applications, I've taken things that you've asked for into consideration into there.
If you could, the applicant could say, expound a little bit on the ballast system. I understand that it's a metal frame and it's being held down by weighted blocks.
Yep.
Do you have any dimensions on that system?
Yeah, that would be on that that diagram. Okay. There we go. The panels are approximately 6 by 4 feet each panel.
Okay.
And then you have the mount or the mounts or the racks that go outside of where the panel lays so you can put cinder blocks inside those racks.
Okay, so it's cinder block that's being used. Open core cinder block or solid?
They'd be solid, and I meant to have this one uploaded in there. If you can see,
If you could just walk.
So yeah, the cinder blocks sit on the rack basically.
So your projection off the roof's just a little bit over a foot with the top of the panel. And understand it's a flat roof. I'm just trying to understand what it's going to ultimately look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this picture.
I mean, the technical specifications are helpful, but it doesn't give us.
Yeah, about a foot, a little bit over a foot.
Foot.
Yeah, by the time the peak is there.
And
Is that the parapet? Is that the parapet of?
This is the side view.
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty high.
So that's a real sketch.
yeah. So, and this is the wall of the side of the house, right? So you're not seeing over that. These are all fully.
So are the wires or the conduit going up over that parapet, or are they running off the back of the house where it's
definitely-
low slope?
We can definitely go through that then. Like, I know we go through walls all the time with that. So if, I just couldn't tell from that picture, now that I'm seeing it, we can definitely go through that and then we have a junction, a small, if you go back to the blue house. Where it showed the painted conduit, go back the other, that one. Oh, no, you can't. We'll have a junction box right at the top, about that size, that it comes in and then it goes straight down where and then connects to the minor panel.
It's just that from the information shown, it's really hard to deduce what this will actually look like. And not so concerned about the panels sitting on the roof so much as the effect of having a conduit run down the face.
Yep.
Where it's going to be, how it flows through, if it wraps over.
I mean, unlike some of the other companies, we always paint our conduit. We always do our best to make it as clean as possible, right? I can't go through the walls, like run it through the walls. There's firewalls and things like that. But we will, that one we had to paint 4 different colors to blend in. We'll do our best to keep it as clean as possible for you on that. But I mean, we know for the homeowner and you guys, we all want it to be very aesthetically pleasing as possible.
good. Mr. Bruce, did you have something?
Yeah, I found this application to be woefully inadequate. There's very little information on what this might look like. You've got a few detailed pictures, but not an overall picture of either the front or the back of the house. No distant views, and that I don't recall seeing that section drawing that you had up a minute or two ago in the set that we received. Am I
Which
correct?
drawing? Which one?
Parapet.
The roof section
One that
shows
showed
the parapet.
the height of the parapet.
I didn't see that
No.
either. In
That was not in the
No.
packet.
Yeah, I sent that today to.
Okay, but recognize you're asking us to make a decision, and I'm saying that we don't have adequate information. My recollection from Google Street View is that the street face of this townhouse is brick. That's not brick.
That's right. The backside is.
No, either end. You said that's the section, right? But I don't see, where is the brick? Or is this party wall to party wall? What is this section through?
Not sure what you're asking, sir.
Okay, is this a section through the house from the front of the house to the rear facade? Or is this a section through the house from party wall to party wall?
This is from front to back.
Okay, so where's the front and where is the brick? Can you point them out, please? I assume south is to the left here because that's where the panels are inclined to face.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, my
Yes, sir.
concern is primarily that this is not an adequate amount of information. In this instance, it's probably okay,
Yeah.
but we are setting a precedent for how we evaluate solar panel installations. And this is a very large complex with a lot of homes that might want them in the future. And I think we need to take the time to make sure that we fully understand the visual impact of this on the historic district that it's in. So I couldn't in good conscience vote in favor of this without more information. I'm sorry to have to say that, but and on another topic, you showed us the picture of the back and you said, we're going to have a box here. And then right above that's another box will be the emergency breaker. But where you pointed out, it will be probably 1.5 feet or 2 feet above the door head.
Mm-hmm.
And is that where you really want your breaker box almost out of reach?
There's no option on these townhouses to go, potentially we could put it on the inside of the garage. That is potentially an option. But as far as the space, you saw how close the AC unit it's even in front of the meter, which is usually you don't see, but because of how these are so tight, you have to use whatever space is available, which
is all the more reason why we need to have good information,
mm-hmm.
because there's dozens of this house type in this development. And if they all have very difficult alignment points to bring your wiring and such into the connected to the existing electrical system, and you both need to understand how that's going to work.
If I would have done an install in there, I would have brought those pictures to show you. I have done installs in the retirement community, literally just really close. But those are the other where we actually are seeing the panels.
They're visible, or it's all one story.
Right.
Yes.
And so I did bring you the house that, where I show you where it's painted, just so you can get an idea of the size of the box, the disconnect, as an example of what the wiring would look like on this house, right? I didn't think it would be as of a concern because I knew with the flat roof, you cannot see the top of the roof. And
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but that kind of gets to my point. I'm not as concerned, and I don't know if my other members are, I'm not as concerned about what's on top of the roof. I agree with you. You're not going to see it. But I do have some questions because I don't feel like I have enough information about how it's coming off the roof and going down and where exactly everything's going to be and how it works. I do agree with Mr. Burns that, I think we're going to see a lot more applications from here, and we need to make sure that we do this right. We don't want to be, kind of doing one-offs and telling one person one thing and one person another. And we don't want to get stuck that we approve something and then that's the way we have to do it forever. So I'm not as concerned about the ballasting and what's on the roof. And looking at the pictures, there's other stuff on the roof already that looks like it sticks up. That doesn't bother me as much, but what's coming off of the side and how that's going to look, I don't have a good feel for what that looks like right now.
Yeah. And I would agree with you that I went again to Google Street View and I went way down the street and looked back at it. And I assume that the fan coil units on the roof are taller than these things are. And you couldn't see them. So there's no question that they're likely going to be hidden.
Yeah.
But we should have something on the record that says these are, the parapet is this high and these units are only this high. Therefore, they will not be seen. There's nothing in the record that says that we have that proof that they won't be visible.
I think you're in an unfortunate position. We're not looking to beat up on you necessarily, other than we're trying to prevent things being run amok on us with regards to this kind of newer, say, I know it's old technology.
Yeah.
But newer technology in terms of the availability and the price point, making it worth doing. I think the issue here is even if we do say, go, yes, this is approved, your guy's going to get out there and he's just going to do it however he wants to do it, which may be great, may be the best practice or may not, but there's absolutely no control. There's nothing saying where the line's going to be. There's nothing showing us what it's going to look like. The technical drawings are good for what they are, but they're not helping us as a board making an architectural decision whether it's appropriate or not.
Yeah, if I can and then maybe get just a little bit of time to, and then just to call and figure and get how they're running that wiring, like, and maybe they even have that schematic, but I didn't come prepared to show you that. I apologize,
Well, and you're also standing in for somebody. I've been in your shoes before. It's not.
He was supposed to be here so he could do this from now on, because
Right.
as you know, I don't have that technical stuff, and he can read the plans and all that stuff. So but I can make a call and figure out how it's going to actually come through that wall. And and I wasn't thinking about, when I was looking at that picture, I was seeing a gutter, and so I thought, well, that's a roof line. There's no attic space, but we would come through the wall. We're not gonna go up over and then back down.
I'll be honest with you, even if he's able to tell you how he plans to do it, we don't have a diagram. We don't have it. We don't have
That's what I'm
anything.
saying is I might actually be able to have the electrical diagram pulled up. I just need to look through, because I have tons of those plans.
The electrical diagram applied to the actual rear elevation of this house. Showing us this applied to the house and,
Where we're gonna run the conduit, yeah, the wiring, that's what I'm trying to
okay.
figure out, if I could potentially have that.
Well,
Might have it.
I have a question for you too.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it would be the section would be more believable if it were the actual material that is there instead of sort of a stock. Because I look at this and I'm thinking, I don't know, that section that you showed us is not that building. And do I trust that the parapet is as tall as is indicated? So see, you're giving me reasons to doubt that section.
And is it really, is that
That was the
the
stamp.
attic?
That was the stamp design. That was gone to engineers. And that height of the wall is what's the actual wall. It's not just a made up.
Is the roof structure actually that deep as it is on that drawing?
Big parapet.
well, if so, there should be room to run through the.
Room to run it all through the attic,
Into the,
run through the attic and come out the wall.
That's on top of the roof. This part.
Can you put the drawing up again?
So this, yeah.
There. Okay, look at the depth of that structure under the roof surface. Right?
Right.
That can't be a townhouse roof. That looks
maybe.
like something entirely
Just
different.
front to back, maybe not necessarily side to front. Just the front.
This is the roof,
Carry a parapet.
right?
Right, okay,
And this is the facade of the house,
right.
coming up to here.
Are you saying that represents
would-
a full story of height there, or is that?
The reason we don't go into the attic, and the reason we are doing a ballast is on a flat roof, if I put a penetration,
Yeah.
then water will pool there, and that's not gonna be good for any homeowner.
Right.
So we're doing this without penetrations, and then we run the conduit, and it will have to go through the wall here and then come down, or the vice versa, on to wherever the meter is. But we don't want to put penetrations in the actual roof, because it's a flat roof.
So this entire system sits on the roof?
Yeah.
And there's nothing fastened to the roof?
Right, that's
That's right.
what Allison's there for.
Okay, and so you hold it in place with concrete block
That's right.
and pray that they don't drop one and ding the roof.
Exactly right.
There's extra money in the budget for that.
It says, I think it said there's a 3% slope on the roof. Did I read that right?
I think that's the other,
And I assume it slopes to the rear?
yeah, I'm sorry, 3% is not very much at all. So yeah, it's probably this one.
Somewhere in there that I read that specification that the roof slopes this much.
You mentioned that there is a garden
Yeah.
in this house.
Yeah, it looked like there was a gutter in that picture.
Parapet usually don't have.
Yeah, I don't know what I was seeing then, like,
I think it's a band
See
of
where that's a band.
masonry. That's-
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
String force.
Yeah, that's Daniel.
It would help if you have dimension of the parapet height and the dimension of the solar panel height.
Yeah,
Daniel,
that did have that.
are we allowed to defer this item, hear the other item, and then maybe hear the third item, and then come back to 1 and 2 after we hear the third item and determine what if anything we want to do.
Second item is mine.
I know, yes, sir.
I mean, you can have the same question.
Right.
It's just not using the ballast.
I know, but we're recording it and we have to go through it all. So I'm just kind of trying to, are we able to defer it that way?
Mhm. Yeah, the chair has discretion to change the agenda.
Okay. All right, well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my discretion. We're going to defer this one for now. Let's go to the second one, which is ARB 24 LOR 058505 Reformatory Way Solar. It's in the Laurel Hill MOA eligible area. The applicant is proposing the installation of 15 roof mounted solar panels. And Mr. Bringhurst, you're also with this presentation. So give us this one.
Yep.
And we'll take it from there.
Isn't it the same?
The same thing.
It's similar. It's slightly different because it's not a ballast system.
It's
So-
not a ballast system.
It's
This one actually
just different.
enough of a slope where we can just do our regular mounts. And it's gonna be, because we can actually put penetrations on the roof because the water won't stay, because there's enough slope that the water will go past the penetration. So, just like the pictures I showed you where it's on the roof, I mean, it's gonna be very clean. In this one as well, you're not gonna see. So the main question is still the running of the wiring. It's the exact same type of, pretty much the similar, the facade. It's just a street over, basically from where we were on the other one. Maybe just showing the pictures of the back of the house and the front of the house. So we're not doing anything in the front of the house. And this is, again, where we'll come out of is somewhere in here. And I maybe should have drawn that out for you. And that's what I'm going to try to find. And then we'll run the conduit down to all the components at the meter.
Okay, does any member of the public wish to comment on this one? Not seeing any, I'd open it up to my fellow board members, but I might recommend, unless anyone has a problem, me using my discretion as the chair to defer this item until we're done with our action items. Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, I have the same concerns with this one as the prior one.
Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Burns, I appreciate that. So we'll defer this one for now, Mr. Bringhurst. If you want to take some time to see what you can look up, and we'll move forward with our agenda. Yes, sir. So our next item for action is ARB 24 LOR 06, which is 9040 Powerhouse Road, Mechanical, also located in the Laurel Hill MOA eligible area. The applicant is proposing interior and exterior improvements to approximately half of building P5 to prepare the interior for a fitness and exercise business. Exterior changes include roof penetrations for plumbing and mechanical ventilation, location of HVAC compressor units on the ground, one exterior wall penetration and modification of existing electrical switch gear and meter. Mr. Perkins, you represent this application. I just want to let my board members know before you start that the application does include some signage, and I think that when we consider this item, we should make a modification that signage has to be consistent with what we already have in the area. But I just wanted to say that to my board members. But Mr. Perkins, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I need to recuse myself on this application.
understood. We will grab you after the presentation is done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having me. I am Jack Perkins with Elm Street Development. And here we are not too far from the houses that we're just looking at. This is located in the historic penitentiary complex, which we now call Liberty Market. So this is where the Lidl grocery store is. And we have a prospective tenant who has signed a lease to lease half of cell block building P5. And it is a fitness and exercise use. They're taking roughly half of the space, about 3,000 square feet. And their build out requires roof penetrations for the HVAC system. It has to do with the size of the tonnage of the HVAC system that requires an economizer unit that therefore requires an inlet and an exhaust for that HVAC system. So let's see here. We will start. Let's see, Daniel, is this the first slide? Let's go back maybe one more. Okay, yeah. So just to get you oriented, Lidl is here, Silverbrook Road is here. Here's the main entrance. And then the space we're looking at is in building P5 right there. Next slide, please. All right, so we are looking at the south elevation of building P5, and it's this portion of the building that the tenant will occupy. This is the side that faces south towards the enclosed courtyard between building P5 and P3. So it is not the most visible side. The north facade is what you see from the parking lot. And so we're proposing two 30 by 30 inch gooseneck structures through the roof, and then two round 3-inch plumbing stack vents, and then a 12 by 4 exhaust gooseneck here, which will provide ventilation to the bathrooms. So those roof penetrations, there will be two ground mounted. These are the air conditioning compressor units, very similar to a typical residential air conditioning compressor unit. It will sit on the ground outside. Their line sets will be attached to the brick wall and come down to this point where they will penetrate through a brick and enter the mechanical space inside the building. So that's typically like a 2-inch core through an existing brick. So that's the south elevation. This is the north elevation showing the main entrance here. There is proposed signage. I did not come prepared to talk about the signage here tonight. We were going to have a separate, there will be a separate permit application for the signage, and it will adhere to the comprehensive sign plan that was already approved, but it's on there for informational purposes. And here's the roof plan, again, showing the penetrations through the roof. All right, next slide. All right, now this is the west elevation. This is where, this is the actual existing photograph that shows 1 meter that serves the house service for the building today. When we go in and demise the structure for the fitness user, then there will be potentially a second user, and we'll have to have a house meter. The electrical gear will change to something that looks like this. And this is the actual, what is on building P2, where we have 2 tenants and a house service. And so that's why you see 3 meters. So that's what we're proposing for building P5. Let's see, next slide. Here is a photograph of a typical, 30 by 30 inch, just aluminum gooseneck vent. So that's a typical. And then these are the pad mounted air conditioner units that are at building P2 that will be essentially the same as what we're doing here at P5. I think that concludes my prepared remarks, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any members of the public wish to comment on this one? No. All right. So I'll turn it over to my fellow board members. Any questions or comments for Mr. Perkins? Mr. Plumpy. Hey, Mr. Perkins.
Jack, thanks. Very good presentation. I just had a question. Could you go back to the plan view and show in plan view where the front door is and where the air conditioners are in plan view, please? It looks like all your vents and everything are not seen from the major public view, right? It's showing into the courtyard. Is that correct?
Correct. So the main entrance is here. This is the north elevation. This is the south. This is the dining hall building would be sitting right here. So the vents are on the south elevation. You would see them if you were in the courtyard. you might even see them if you were standing out in the grassy quadrangle here. There is a large parapet roof here. It shields a direct look. You can see that parapet there. And Daniel, maybe flip to the next slide, please. Yeah, you can see that parapet there, and dashed in behind it is the gooseneck.
So the doors that are shown on the side of the building, that's just for egress, fire egress? That's not your main entrance, that's just for, I know where your front is, then the ones on the side, like where, yeah, that's.
Okay.
Middle elevation, your middle elevation,
Middle elevation here. This would actually be the main entrance.
on the side of the
On
building.
the side of the building, because this is the parking field where people will be parking. So yes, this entrance on the side is probably more of a secondary or an egress entrance. The main entrance would be this door here.
So if you go back to the aerial photograph, there's an aerial photograph in there, I think.
I think we,
Okay, if not, then the overall plan view that had the parking lot, that'd be really.
Okay.
There you go, bingo.
there we go. So
Okay.
main entrance here, coming off of the parking lot.
So all that electrical gear and everything's at the main entrance, right? Is that-
Oh, okay, so the electrical gears here on the west side. And the compressor units are sitting out here,
On the backside.
the backside, and the roof vents are there.
I just was confused because you showed the pictures of all the, the door with all the electrical units. That's on a different building.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
And
Okay.
each of these buildings have, essentially a back door. And so the picture that I showed you was on building P2. All that electrical gear is here. And on P5, it will be here.
And there's only one door for this tenant or two doors for fire?
There are two on the north elevation, and then there's the one historic entrance on the,
Got it. My only recommendation would be is the items on the roof be painted black or dark gray to match the shingles as opposed to natural aluminum or
Okay.
galvanized steel.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Mr. Kalinsky.
Yeah, I have a question. If you could go back to the elevations on the side of the building? Yes. If you could zoom in on the center image. I'm assuming, and just some clarification on the, what appear to be some sort of canopy form out in front of the building. Is that an existing?
those are existing. Those were approved by the ARB many moons ago and are existing today. Yeah.
You
It's a
don't-
freestanding steel canopy.
Okay. It just,
It doesn't actually-
I just wanted to ensure no changes that. The only thing in that area is the signage
The sign
that
is
you've,
mount on
Yeah.
top. Yeah,
Mounted.
and the two signs that are on the building wall.
And you said all that's for the guidelines already approved?
We'll submit a separate sign application, and it's our intent that it will
That's,
comport with the approved CSP.
got it.
Yeah, we're not looking to do anything different.
Data, that's something that would be administratively reviewed.
Yes, all signs in this development that come through as a sign permit application, we check for conformance with the plan and then administratively approve them, and they don't have to come to you. I've done like 10 in the past 4 months, so we just make sure it conforms. And then that plan was first approved in 2016 and amended in 2020.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm
Hannick.
I'm comfortable with everything as presented. I think that visible mechanicals are in keeping with the industrial character of the site and necessary to adapt it to a new use. And I'm glad that you're not showing any screening. I don't think any type of screens even would be appropriate. I think it's honest just to show the mechanicals. And yeah, so I'm comfortable as presented.
Ms. Murray.
I have some concerns about all your boxes on the wall. Normally those are called out. We get the detail about that. And so we're approving a picture based on a picture of another building. Is that what you're asking us to do tonight? Or have you also submitted more detailed plans that Daniel can review?
Daniel, does the electrical plan show, I'm sure it shows another meter.
Yeah.
prediction.
Yeah, there are more detailed plans with the full permit application.
You can review it to make sure that the intent is being followed. Thank you.
Yes.
this was a part of an ex parte communication.
It's okay. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Kalinsky,
I make a motion.
please.
Like the Mr. Mr. Vice Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 24-LOR-06 located at 9040 Powerhouse Road, Lorton, tax map 07109H1 in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible area. The proposed mechanical improvements as submitted and presented at the March 14, 2024 ARB meeting, subject to the following modifications. Modifications to include painting the roof improvements to match the existing roof colors. Okay, and also that there's a comprehensive sign plan for this campus and any approval. Okay. Yeah, that the signage complies with the comprehensive sign plan. And upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the memorandum of agreement of the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Hammack with the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you very much.
Samantha, are you grabbing John? Thank you. Mr. Brinkhurst, any update?
I'm working on it. I'm trying to get a diagram of the electrical done.
We are meeting on Monday. I can't,
Want me to talk through the options?
right, because am I able to move on to other portions of the agenda or do we have to complete the items for action first?
Yes, so there's a couple of options. You can vote on them, roll call vote, if you want to. Someone can make a motion to defer, and if the board agrees, they could be added to Monday's agenda or defer until April.
Okay, well, I'd like to open it up for some discussion on that. I think if I'm reading the room correctly, that since we don't have the information from Mr. Bernhardt, you can go up to the podium. That we're looking at deferral unless something changes quickly. Is there strong opinions about whether it should be deferred to Monday or if it should be deferred to April's meeting? And I welcome discussion on that.
I have a question. Just how long do you think things will last on Monday? It's the house out in Roby's Mill and
No. And then a workshop for a demolition and new construction in Langley. So the Roby's Mill has 3 separate applications and we're anticipating some conversation. We have 1 consent and then those 3 actions. So I think it could be added to Monday.
Or any workshops on Monday.
1 for a
Workshop.
demolition and new construction in Langley.
That was taken off tonight, be added to Monday or not? Is that?
No, that was moved to April.
I guess we moved up.
Well, I think it's only fair to the applicant to give him a chance if he is able to come back with the information from Monday's meeting that
Really appreciate that.
at the time.
The homeowner's been waiting a long time, actually, just to even get.
We're not opposed to what you're doing. We just trying to make it fit within our.
And I would rather have my, operation manager here who has all the lingo and can literally.
Let him take the.
Yeah, and to be honest, that this might be a short-term delay, but in the future, it might make things go much more quickly once we have kind of a template for how we're.
Because I mean, I haven't myself, and I've been doing this 11 years. For whatever reason, I haven't had to do a ballast system. That we've done them in Richmond a whole bunch. I just haven't done it myself. But
I think that we, it's not that we don't trust that you did good work at other sites, is that we're very concerned with this specific site. So if you could just like overload us with photos,
Yep.
many angles, and then just try to get very specific to this building.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that'd be
and
helpful.
when I'm texting them, they're still not even understanding
Right, yeah.
I'm.
Yeah, and I guess what I would say is having a diagram is going to be helpful, but we're going to need to have an idea of exactly where that conduit is running.
Yep.
Where's it coming out of the wall?
Main thing
Where
was.
is it running down the back of the house? Where the box is going to be?
I think,
Yeah.
like, even if you just stand on the roof and hold a yardstick and sometimes like, it doesn't have to be, we're not the permitting department. You don't need technical drawings always. So even if you draw with blue painter's tape, this is the box on the front of the building, that can really help us understand what it's going to look like.
Okay.
Daniel, I know an applicant can choose to defer, but if we were going to defer to put it on to Monday's agenda, is that something we have to make a motion for separately?
Would appreciate it.
Okay.
There were two very specific motions made about when the date is being deferred to.
Yeah, and I would do a motion for each item.
Yes.
All right, well, starting with, we're on ARB 24 LOR 04. Does anyone have a motion they would like to make at this? Mr. Burns,
I'll take a crack at it. Mr. Vice Chairman? Okay.
that's, yeah,
That's you. Okay, Mr. Vice Chairman, I move that the ARB defer action item ARB 24-LOR 04 located at 9311 Quadrangle Street, Lorton, tax map 107110A, plot 0008, in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible area as submitted and presented at the March 15th, 2024 meeting. The motion to defer is due to lack of adequate information. And I propose that my motion proposes to defer consideration of this until the March 18th, 2024 ARB meeting, and that it should be added to the agenda for that night.
okay. Is there a second? Mr. Plumpy, second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. I would look for a motion on ARB 24 LOR 05. Not all at once, though.
I think John, Mr. Burns should make the same motion. Remember?
Mr. Burns,
Mr. Vice Chairman, I move that the ARB defer action item ARB 24-LOR 05 located at 8505 Formatory Way, Lorton, tax map 107110B, lot 0004, in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible area as submitted and presented at the March 14th, 2024 ARB meeting. The motion to defer is due to inadequate information to be able to provide adequate review of the project. And I move that the deferral be until the March 18th, 2024 ARB meeting, and that it be added to the agenda for that evening.
okay, is there a second? Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Mr. Bringhurst, thank you.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you Monday evening.
Okay, let me do that Monday.
Absolutely. That concludes our action items for the agenda, which moves us into our workshop items. Our workshop item is ARB 24 HOL 06WS 1820 Drury Lane Edition, located at 1820 Drury Lane in Alexandria in the Howland Hills Historic Overlay District. The applicant is proposing a rear addition to the existing residence. And Rebecca Bostic, Ms. Bostic? Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, Mr. Burns, I has to read. Do we have to read a statement for workshop items?
Yeah, would hurt.
Mr. Burns, you have the floor.
I have, thank you, sir. I, John Burns, under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112, E1 and 2.2-3115H, declare my personal interest in transactions brought before the Architectural Review Board involving the Howland Hills HOD, and specifically state the following for March 14th, 2024 meeting. Workshop item ARB 24-HOL-06WS 1820 Drury Lane Edition involves the historic Howland Hills Historic Overlay District. The nature of my personal interest is that I own and reside in a home that is valued at over $5,000 and is located in the Howland Hills HOD. 3, I am a member of a group of 3 or more persons who are members of which are affected by the transaction. And 4, I am able to participate in the transactions fairly, objectively, and in the public interest.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Bostic, the floor is yours.
Okay, we are proposing an addition to the, I guess that's the north side of the house. The house has, the site has a little bit of a slope, so we have our addition, instead of being like this, they're stepped down with the bedroom area being on the main floor of the house and the family room, which is a little bit set even further north, a little bit lower down. So if you want to go to the floor plans, I'll show you what we're talking about. So here's, we can go back to pictures. So there's the house in the top left, and the addition will go to the right side of the picture. The picture on the top left, top right, sorry. That's the side of the house that will be covered by our addition. And then as the addition goes down the hill. So as you continue, the pictures just kind of wrap you around the house. This is looking from the lower level, looking back up the hill, which will be taken up with the addition. The one on the middle right is just the back of the house as it exists now. And then stepping back more towards the pool, looking out to the side, the bottom left is just the side yard, which will contain the additions. And again, just another picture of the side yard containing the additions. Got the floor plan. All right, so there's the house. The addition, the bedroom addition will come off the right end of the house, tying together. There's currently 3 windows, and we will just tie the house together at that point, creating an opening into the hallway that extends out into the bathroom or to the bedroom and a bathroom. Steps are on the end that go down to the lower level, which from the upper level will be a roof. If you go to the next slide, you go down the steps and you come into the family room. And it was designed that way so that it was adjacent to the pool. And as it collects the south sunlight coming around the house, the majority of the sun will be coming into the family room. We're sticking, you go to the elevations. We're sticking to pretty much Holland Hills standard material. We've got the existing houses T111 siding. We're going back with T111 siding. We've kept the roof's kind of the low gable roof to tie into the front part of the house. Although the back, we've done it more of a single shed roof, which ties into the addition on the left side of the house to kind of match it. The 2 rear parts of the house have the same kind of single sloping roof line. That's really all I have to say. If you just want to ask questions or, I mean, we just kind of did everything to kind of meet and match what's there. So it just sort of blends.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. There are no requirements to ask the members of the public who aren't here to participate. But I'll open it to my fellow board members for any questions or comments or insights.
I just have a quick
Ms.
one.
Orr.
Is the slope over the entry the same slope as the big gable at the top? Your front elevation, the entry there, is that slope the same?
Yes, the slopes are the same. They're all about 3 and 12.
Mr. Kalinsky.
I'm just curious, in the design, are you introducing a new entry onto the face of the house? And if so, are you keeping the old entry door?
The old entry door is the main door.
Okay.
The little front bump out, yes, there will be another front door not facing the front of the house.
Okay.
It will be on the side of the house.
And looking at your drawings and looking at the, well, I guess I could see on the side and elevation there on the left, there's a fair, I guess there's a fair amount of exposure of your, say, your lower addition. In the front elevation, you'll be able to see the wall of it on the back looking down the hill.
Probably, I mean,
Okay.
without all the plantings in place, probably. I mean, it does kind of sit down the hill from everything. So you won't really see the whole wall of it when you're standing at the street. And there's a lot of landscaping in place that will probably hide it anyways, but.
Do you know the history of the additions on this house, the prior additions?
A little bit, because I was friends with the people that lived there previously, so there were lots of different ones done at various times.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the progression was, and I'll be honest, it was,
I can't tell you the dates, but I do know that there's a master bathroom addition on the very far left that was done, what, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe? Before our new homeowners purchased, these are new homeowners.
Seems like it might have been longer ago than that.
Maybe longer, yeah. This is my house, and while I didn't do that particular addition, I added my 2 cents to that addition.
it's a sprawling house so much that you can't fit it at a 1/4 inch on a D sheet. So that tells me this is, but the advantage here is the site with the drop off, so that you're not really presenting something mammoth to the street. What's being presented is relatively modest, and that's a positive aspect of this.
Ms. Hammack and then Mr. Poppy.
Mentioned you live across the street.
I live next door.
Oh, okay, well, one of my questions was, do the neighbors know about the proposed work?
Yes. All the neighbors have been notified, and we had an open house on Saturday
Oh,
for anybody that wanted to come see full-size plans.
okay, that's, sounds then more than your due diligence. That sounds great. Where do you buy TI 11 siding? The new siding?
I haven't looked that up yet.
Because I'm
Are you saying you can't get that anymore? I think it
I guess
becomes,
it would be
does it become the engineered wood siding?
It's-
That would-
The currently available, what's called generically like Kleenex,
Yeah,
T111 is actually, it's called type 303 siding.
Okay,
It's a rough sanded with a trapezoidal groove cut in. And it doesn't have the same profile as T111.
yeah, sorry.
So when people say T111, I always ask, are you doing T111 or are you doing type 303, which is more commonly available and frequently interchangeable to most people's mind. And this house, if you already have T111 on it, it would be best to match it. This model house, when it was built, probably had board and batten, not board and batten, vertical tongue and groove
Yeah.
siding. And I don't know, had that been replaced and it's no longer extant on the original parts of the house?
no, I guess it was replaced.
Okay,
As far as
all right.
I've been there, it's been the T111 siding, so.
I think it's best to be consistent. If it's already type 303 siding, you might as well match it. But T111 siding has a very distinct sharp edged profile. And the more readily available stuff in today's market does not.
Yeah,
So.
that was what I was leaning towards.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
I think that I'm in the minority here. I think it could be argued both ways. This building is like an onion. It's had many layers. I don't even see the original home. I would love to see it. I would love to know a chronological order of additions. And yes, if you wanted to pull all the permit history, maybe you could find that, but that would be, your eyes would bleed. So you don't need to do that. I would like to see some part of the original home shown, restored. But I think the other argument is that it's very altered, and that might just not be something that can be done at this particular site, this particular building.
Can I show you? Can I?
Sure.
Here? So this is original. This was an addition here that did kind of match that. I know this has got a little staircase that goes to this lower room down here. So this is addition. This is original. That's probably the addition, and this is the addition at the front that they did previously.
I mean, the addition at the front, I think, is the most egregious. I mean, if they had come to us or me and asked for that, I would have said no.
It was probably.
But of course, it was done, way before it was under. I'm just saying that if your neighbor came to us with that now, I would say that does not meet the spirit of what the board would like to see. I think what you're showing is in keeping with the neighborhood. I think if it were built, it would look good and it wouldn't, call undue attention or not harmonize. I guess it's just, this one is just really altered.
I was gonna say, I think the die has been cast.
Yeah.
kind of. But yeah, Mr. Plumpy.
Sure, I'm the landscape architect on the board, so if we go back to the plan view, there, bingo. So on there, that shows all the new additions, yes, already?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, that's the lower level, but yeah, it shows the additions.
okay, and so the pool's gonna stay intact?
Yes.
You're not losing the pool? The question is, do you have a grading plan for what you're doing? Is there?
That will have to come because
that-
we probably will be disturbing more than 2,500 square.
So therefore, your storm management, because I'm anxious to see how you're gonna do the storm management and the stormwater, rain garden, or whatever you're gonna do to help control that, because that's something that needs to show, because, I'm curious to see how you do it, basically, and if there's any tree removals, which I'm not too hung up on that, but I'm anxious to see how you're fitting the new additions into the grade. And so that when you come back for, I don't know if you're coming back for another workshop or for approval, but it'd be really good to have something vented out, landscape plan, grading plan, and a lighting plan for the exterior. And if there's any new pavements that you're doing, you have gosh, now's the opportunity. Do you want to connect your carport to the house? Just saying, because
It's not a carport.
oh, it says
Just a
carport
driveway
too.
at this point.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry.
Just a driveway at this point.
Okay, gotcha. But there's no carport on
There's
it?
not.
Because on the plan, it says carport. That's what it is. On the,
Oh, it says, it says gravel driveway, but it has a little stone.
no, but it says carport, right?
Oh.
At the very end there, on the plat,
Does?
on your survey plat.
I wonder if that was there at one point.
There you go, bingo.
It was the carport where the garage became.
It says gravel driveway.
And the one.
Joe, where are you looking? Where are you seeing the carport indicator?
Wrong. It's the wrong
I'm
house.
sorry.
That's the one house.
Well, interesting. I went in order because this is not Glasgow, right?
No, this was.
I apologize.
Wrong house.
You missed it. That one's not being done.
Oh, they didn't tell me.
Just a
Approved.
She wants a carport or garage, so I
I
apologize.
just have to come back a few times. You want solar on the roof?
Anyways.
I was unfair. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jeff.
If the landscaping isn't done at this point, are you requiring a landscaping plan? Or
Yes,
do you want us to
Yes.
say, well, we're gonna
yes,
plant these bushes here and there?
yes. Yes, all the above, sure. So basically get your house approved, but come back again for the landscape plan, but the grading plan is pretty key to all this, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So that should be part and parcel with the addition, without question.
Do you mean the landscaping plan or do you mean how we're going to deal with the water runoff?
Yes. Not to be vague, but it's basically, again, landscape plan, body plan, grading plan, and your demolition plan too would be good to show.
There's not any demolition really. I mean, surprisingly, there's no
Okay.
demolition except
That's
for my
great.
doorway.
Okay, that's good. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I don't mean to be difficult, but it'd be good to see that information because that's what people will see before they see your house.
This one.
I'm just gonna say it, I have a hard time to come to a conclusion. I do have a dilemma here. It's the elevation and the plan is all well thought out and try to merge to the original house. But I do find that when this same language keep popping up and keep growing bigger and bigger, it make the original, because it never has this big of the footprint to begin with. So I feel like I have the same feeling. I want to see where is the original part. So I start to see, oh, perhaps the addition is slightly pushed back a little, or perhaps lower than the existing one, and start to see a little bit differentiation between those two massing. It might help to make the existing shine up a little bit. I'm not sure that is the right way to do. It just something I feel like I could perhaps try.
The addition is set back
It is,
for that reason. I didn't want it flush, so it is pushed back.
right.
It's a
But
little bit
but
wider.
if you look at the addition, the almost the exterior wall and the existing, they are very much at the same plan. And because of which is good, the window, the language is all the same. So it's become, they merge into one big blob.
Yeah, I mean, that's the age-old question, like, how do you differentiate an addition to a historic home, but still have it be sensitive and appropriate? I mean, that's like the crutch of like, every architect that has to do a historic home. And I mean, you could change material slightly, you could change depth, you could change height, but then when you have these one-story modern homes, you have less tools, right? Because what is there? There's one story, there's a roof pitch, and there's windows, and there's cladding materials, and there's just not as much to work with. So I don't envy you. I think it's a really hard task. I also think it's hard to visualize this building. Like, I almost wish I don't expect you to build a model, but like, this would be a great building to model out or do a 3D. And so, yeah, it doesn't really answer your question, except
We
that.
actually done model for other projects,
Oh.
as I remember.
Oh, well, just need
This house it would be horrible to build. My addition would be fine, but the rest of the house, I don't think we accomplished that easily. This house was also, when the HOD application went in, it was not a conforming structure. So we already started a little bit off the list.
Interesting.
Good to know.
Right. So it's not so much setting as much of a precedent, because, we're not saying we love these sprawling additions, we want to see them at every Holland Hill Homes. We're saying we're working with an existing condition. We think it's an improvement in a way, even than what's there presently. It is getting cleaned up. So there's that.
Yes, Murray, then Mr.
I'm
Kalinsky. then
having
Mr. Plum.
trouble with understanding the whole of the front facade. Is the west side of the front facade just all blank walls? Or did you just not draw it?
No, it's more or less a blank wall, because if you go to back to the first level, the floor plan. There, nope, back one. There. This is a shed that was put on at some point, and the grade is here and the roof is here. I mean, you're only getting half the wall, but it is a solid wall across here. And then there's a couple high windows for the kitchen here. The two, oops, kind of in your way, the two long windows in the front door here. And then this is the solid brick wall that then we come off the addition over here.
Okay, so this, in terms of actual building, there's just the one little bump out at the front, at the original front door. And that other thing is sort of a low shed.
You've got a picture of it.
In one of the pictures?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's very
Top left.
helpful because that
Yeah.
whole end is kind of hidden there.
That's the shed right there. And then the kitchen windows are here,
Yeah.
right here. And then you have two windows in the door.
Needs original.
Yeah, I was just concerned about the balance between the new and the old. That's why I think maybe a little bit more picture and a little more drawing.
So from the front of the elevation, it looks like one of the old, small, one-story houses until you walk around and go, what?
Yeah, right, right.
It's real.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Kalinsky, go ahead.
All right, kind of addressing Gabrielle's, something what you said. I think the addition is bringing back more of the palette of Goodman design than the original house has left. The series of windows and the kind of recessed door entry to the side, which were kind of hallmarks of some of his houses. So, I mean, they're in a way, you're referencing the better parts back with the addition.
Yeah, we didn't want the other front door to be, which door do we go to? So,
Yeah, it's hidden.
Yes, Mr. Plumpy.
I promise I'm not going to look at the wrong house this time. However, you have one air conditioner right now, one heat pump.
Is that right? Two?
I think you could.
I got one, two.
Two.
Okay, there's only one on your plan. Only shows the one. But do you need another one for this edition?
Yes.
So you have three total then eventually. So locate that on the plan also. And then going to do construction, I assume that the driveway is going to be your means of access for the dump trucks and
Yes, that's correct.
bobcats and all that. So therefore that you had that little ornamental garden wall. What's that? Is it going to be replaced in kind? You know, those kind of things. That's what I wanted to see. Because that's our street view. That's the curb appeal that I'm most interested in from a historical standpoint, as well as just from a aesthetic standpoint.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a lot of trees that you'll be impacting, at least unless that big evergreen's in the way. Is it? That's fine.
It's just holly.
Yeah.
That's okay. They will grow fast. No problem. The new ones,
We're
but
very sad about that, actually.
well, then don't do the addition.
That's the trade-off.
Got it. Okay. And that's all. I just want to make sure that we have a good sense of what's going on when you do everything.
Yeah, and for what
That's
it,
good.
yeah, for what it's worth from my end, I know Miss Murray and Miss Orr and I were on the Holland Hills committee when we were forming the district, and I do recall there were 5 to 10 structures that were non-conforming. And so I would be, this is my opinion, I don't speak for everyone, but I would be more lenient in what I would be willing to
Sure, yeah.
approve because it is a non-conforming structure. I do think that's important. So all of that, are there any other comments or questions? Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Say, I haven't heard Mr. Burns.
I wanted to consciously go last, so
Yeah.
everybody's helped to have a chance to express their opinions. Could you put up the front elevation again? Part of the question was, what are we seeing here that's original? Okay, may I approach the bench as it were?
Now you're talking in my world.
Yeah, go around, yeah, or off the table.
Okay, of the front facade of the original house, this is what's left. The original bathroom window and the 3 windows in the kitchen. You can see that in the floor plan, right? This is the original ridge right across here. That's the original chimney. That's pretty much it from what you see from the street. Am I
That's
got
correct.
that? Okay, okay. So this is, it clearly, as multiple people have said, this is a house that's been modified a lot over time. You also now have pretty much filled up the lot. There's no place else to build on the street. Yeah. All the side yard setbacks are approached, and the shed, I think, crosses it, right? The front yard setbacks.
Yes,
But it's a lot of house on the site. Now, Joe asked about the slope and drainage and stuff like that. This house, I believe, backs up onto Holland Hills Park.
yes, backs up to Goodman.
And I would think since they've just redid all that park stuff and redone all that sort of stuff, it's probably more visible now than it had been historically. I don't have any basis for comparison. But we asked people to show us the house in the context. Really, we only have one picture of the front of the house from the street, and we have no pictures that show it from the park. So I think it would be helpful to, and I tell people, these are 360-degree objects. It's not like a townhouse where you only conserve the street facade. That's your neighbor on one side, his neighbor on the other side. We have the street, just the cul-de-sac turnaround. And then you've got the parkland. And this is a very impressive facade when seen from that parkland when the leaves are down. Obviously, it'd be far less visible when the foliage comes back. But I think that's something to keep in mind when you present back to us, is that look at this as a 360-degree object.
I will get that picture now before the leaves come out next week.
Yeah, because, that will show it at its most exposed. Right? And so that would be an honest representation of the most visible season that you can photograph the house in. That would be quite helpful. And then Gabrielle and I were talking earlier about what are we trying to preserve in this Holland Hills Historic Overlay District? Are we trying to put Goodman and Amber and lock it, or are we trying to preserve a modernist historic district that had a lot of original homes that have been modified over time And how do we preserve the modernism character? And I think this is an example of where we need to look at preserving the modernism more so than being slavishly devoted to Charles Goodman's design issues. But, you know, having said that, well, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or? All right. Thank you so much. I think that was a lot of feedback and hopefully that will be helpful. And, you know, whether you choose to come back for a workshop or approval action, I think you have a lot of what we would expect for when you come back next time.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you for your time.
There's also 2 members of this committee that live near this. And so the folks who deferred, I think perhaps did that after they talked to the 2 of us and just decided that they'll revisit. But you're welcome to approach this individually. We can't have more than 2 people there because that constitutes a public meeting. But I think,
I see what
you
you're
know,
saying.
casual communication. I can't speak for the board. Mr. Kalinsky, who also lives nearby, can't speak for the board. But we are available as a resource.
Great.
I have a real quick question. Will you present this to the neighborhood?
The DRC.
DRC.
Yes, we have scheduled next week.
Okay,
Their next
and this is what you're presenting, and
Mhm.
they should either say yay or no? Okay,
We're giving, they already got the same stuff you got.
gotcha. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on with our agenda, we do not have any presentations this evening, which brings us into board and staff items. First is review and action on approval of the previous month's minutes from February 8th, 2024. Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes? If there's any changes, let me know. Otherwise, I would accept a motion to approve those minutes and to pay our clerk.
So
Ms. Marie.
I move that the ARB approves the February 8, 2024 meeting minutes and pay the clerk Ryan Johnson.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstention? Mr. Kalinsky is going to abstain. He wasn't present at the meeting. Motion carries. Treasurer's report as of February 29, 2024, the balance was $16,614.45. Daniel, anything else on that?
This is the new tabletop lectern that you approved purchasing last month.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it worked well.
All right. Administrative, we do have a meeting on Monday, March the 18th. As you know, we just deferred 2 items to that. And there's an agenda for that meeting. And I do believe our fearless leader will return and I'll move off to the side for that meeting.
You have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Okay, good.
Anything else about the meeting on Monday, Daniel, right now?
No.
Okay. Discussions, update, reports, Pohick Church accessibility ramp update.
Yes.
This thing keeps going.
Yes, they're very.
You have no idea. This is like this 3rd iteration.
It's like the 5th year.
No, but they started like 15 years ago with their,
People have passed.
Well, and we'll bounce that one.
yeah.
So this is in relation to a approval from January 2023. The vestry has just informed me that the committee has selected a preferred vendor. He emailed me today. They're signing a contract next week, hopefully. So part of that contract is for the vendor to have the materials on site for ARB inspection. And their plan right now is to not build a mock-up because they don't want to pour concrete and then have whoever would like to come look at it and provide any feedback. So he will just let me know when that is available, and then I can let all of you know for whoever would like to go by. And if there is an issue with anything, we will have to bring them back from the way the motion was worded. Because the approval was with the modification that the applicant submit final material choices to the ARB for review of the stone and the brick to be used. So we have no problem. They don't have to come back. If they do have a problem, then we'd have to have some sort of formal discussion about the changing of the material.
Okay.
So I will let you all know when that is ready. It sounds like it should be soon, but it's sounded like that since my first day. So that's the update.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, correspondence and announcements, updates on VDHR grant applications.
Yes, so I discussed this last month, and there has since been a change. We are still submitting an application for a National Register nomination for the William H. Randall Estates District. However, as I mentioned last month, we're under a lot of pressure with development review on postmodern resources, which we do not currently have a context for or a way to deal with. So the Randall Estates grant, we are shifting that to the other grant category application. The chair is still writing a letter of support as was requested. And for the cost share grant, we are going to be submitting a postmodern historic context and directed survey grant, which will span from 1970 to 1995. That's kind of the range that we're looking at. Including resources constructed in that time frame with a focus on corporate campuses and office and commercial buildings. And one part of this project, the goal is to have a sort of rubric or evaluation system to identify and rank resources based on what is most significant to what is not. Like I mentioned last month, that's kind of, we're borrowing from Arlington County's system that they use to rank garden apartments as inspiration, so that in development review moving forward, our staff can have some sort of historic context to understand the buildings that are at most threat of redevelopment. Yes.
Will an outside consultant write that historic context?
Yeah. So
So once we get given the grant, we have to bid it.
No,
the
no,
way the cost share program works is the state funds half of it from the pool, and then the other half is funded by the jurisdiction, the CLG. So that would be coming from DPD, and then the state uses a pre-selected rate from their pre-vetted list of consultants, and the state manages the survey and the context. We're just doing review. So
State VHR bids it.
yeah, they kind of open it up to this pre-selected pool. This is something I'm going to talk about a little bit on Monday, but in previous years, Fairfax County has gone after a couple grants. There's one that is the Mid-Century Modern Survey, which is in progress right now, and an African-American survey. Both of those were through the cost share. So we're identifying either buildings, campuses, or areas to focus in, and we're calling it a directed survey. So it's probably going to be like 25 to 30 sites instead of a county-wide survey. And then the development of that matrix or that rubric is to allow us to evaluate things from this point forward after the completion of the survey and the context.
When do you think the African American and the modern contexts will be completed?
Let's see.
I think Stephanie knows the date for those, for at least one of them.
Yeah, with the African American final draft is spring 2024.
Yes, it's
Who's
actually
writing that one?
finalized. It was already completed by a consultant out of William and Mary.
Next week.
And then the mid-century is in progress. That's by Dovetail. The date we have is late spring 2024. So something I'm going to touch on Monday's meeting is the introduction of a monthly Heritage Resources branch update. And so there's more information on those projects because they were previously brought to the board and discussed, but they've not been discussed in a while, and we've had a change in membership. And then moving forward monthly, there will be like a report out on update and deadlines and things like that.
Okay.
So the plan is to transmit that at the same time as all the other meeting materials. And then if anyone has a question, we can talk about it, or I'll like hit on the big things.
Actually, there was a grant, cost share grant that before those two, which was Reston, looking at the postmodern architecture in Reston.
Yeah, so when we met with VDHR, we got a very pointed recommendation to write this new grant proposal as the third chapter in dealing with modern or postmodern resources in Fairfax County. We got a lot of support. We feel positive about it. The thing that we're facing right now is, like I mentioned, we have a lot of buildings that are being targeted for plan amendments and redevelopment. We don't really have a way to evaluate them. And so we need some sort of context for the county.
What was the date range you said?
1970 to 1995 is that's the rough time frame. It was also recommended to kind of root ourselves in the period that the mid-century survey is covering, and then
And what the mid-century survey is focusing on what?
Corporate campuses.
that's the postmodern. The mid-century identified, there was a list of a little less than 100, I don't know the full number, or around 150, it's between 100 and 150, that included subdivisions, single, like individual houses. It was focused more on residential and like strip mall commercial.
Where did that list come from? Did that come from us?
No, it came from county staff.
It's several years ago. You guys actually contributed to that one.
Yeah, the ARB contributed financially to that.
Okay.
And it was thoroughly presented at the time. I can't remember the details, but it was.
That's 100 buildings that were identified at that time.
There was, I think we gave a list around 100, and then there was some things that changed once the consultant started doing the work, things that were added to or removed. The VDHR for these likes to have us present a list or areas of focus that we want to kind of help guide their RFP process. So some of the ones we're talking about for the postmodern CIT building, we're looking at Reston Town Center, including that. There's several buildings of Tyson's. So we're kind of looking at the areas the county in the 70s and 80s was targeting for industrial and corporate development, because that's where the buildings were built based on the planning strategy. So we'll provide a list, and then we'll kind of ebb and flow as the consultant starts working on it, should we be awarded the grant.
So will this survey, the new survey, the postmodern 1970-95 thing, look at things the county has already written off, like Isaac Newton Square?
That's a question we're still figuring out.
I think it's,
I mean, there's lots of stuff that they're potentially saying. This strikes me as 10 years too late.
reactionary.
We've already lost the API building and other modernist buildings along Sunrise Valley Drive. And so I'm glad that they're doing it. You know, we asked for this probably starting 20 years ago at this point. And it's good that it's
I think
finally
there's
happening.
value in looking at things that might still be lost, because then they're lost, and this way we have a record.
Yeah, because most of Tyson's is already gone. All those wonderful little office buildings that used to be part of West Park, and the silo building, the NADA building's gone.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So that's the update.
Thank you.
I spoke with the chair about this, and this will also need a letter of support. So he'll be, if anyone has opposition, he'll be writing a letter of support from the ARB for us to include in the package.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Fiscal year 2025 advertised budget plan.
Yes, the county executive presented the fiscal year 2025 advertised budget to the Board of Supervisors on February 20th. The proposed fiscal year 2025 contribution to the ARB is $15,972. It's an increase of a little over 5,000 or 45.8% over the current fiscal year 2024 adopted plan. This increase is to cover the requested cost for additional monthly meetings. The request for the technology support was not included. But I'm taking this as a win because 45.8% increase is substantial. The Board of Supervisors is going to hold public hearings on the budget between April 16th and 18th. And then the final budget will be adopted on May 7th.
All right.
So they took the computers out?
Yes, we can have this discussion in the future with the full board, but there is, historically, there is money carried over from year to year. And so there could be some discussion about
using it.
Yes.
For us to have computers at the meetings.
Yeah, so we, I'm sorry, this was before you joined. The fiscal year 2025 request that we presented was included a stipend or a one-time request of, was a little over $16,000 with the number that we were quoted for a suite of laptops or tablets for the ARB to conduct public meetings and use. So there is regular training money that is not always taken advantage of, and there is carryover from other things. So there is the possibility of you all deciding to purchase something without the budget support the next cycle, but we did that increase covers 9 additional monthly meetings, which we do not anticipate having to use. But it's month 3 and we're already on our first time we had to split the agenda. So it gives coverage because then we're not eating into other budget areas to cover the cost of the recording secretary and support the meetings.
The board is free to change the direction of their funds. Once it's been handed over to by the Board of Supervisors, it's up to this board if you wish to buy the laptops. It looks like you're a little close though, because you got to spend some more money this year. And since your balance is the same amount as your request for the computers. But it's up to this board. It has to be responsible and documentable, but you can shift it. This has been an issue in the past. They felt they had to get permission.
Yep.
But you don't.
All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Yep. Did you have a question?
No, I was going to wait for new business. That's
Okay.
All right.
One last question on cost share. Does that come from our budget or from the county budget?
It's not, we're not asking the ARB for any financial support.
All right, there is no old business.
I do have 2
Yeah, go ahead.
things to touch on. I'm sorry.
Please, no, please.
To take advantage of tonight being shorter than I thought it would be. This question came up, it was raised by Mr. Kalinsky about the standardizing solar applications in the future. And I discussed this at previous month's meetings. We're developing the submission matrix that was reviewed recently by the Office of the County Attorney. So now we have to go up the chain of all the other management before we can publish it and bring it back to the board. But one of the things that we proposed was that for all solar projects, we would require plan sheets showing routing paths and locations for electrical lines, equipment, and components. The Office of the County Attorney allowed that because the zoning ordinance is written in a way that is very broad. So those schematics and plans may not be required for the permit, but there are instances where the ARB can require supporting documentation that is more stringent than what the permit requires. So that's something that we're trying to account for, that I've heard in discussions since I came into this role. So if there are things like that that continually appear or that you have concerns about, please let me know and we can see if it can be worked into that matrix. The goal of this is to be publicly facing, and we will not put an application on the agenda unless it has the things that we say are required. So we will hopefully avoid this problem in the future.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
You had another thing as well.
Yes, just to inform the board, staff had a meeting with the Community Revitalization Group, which sits in DPD recently about phase 3 of the visioning study for Lake Anne. And then we had a meeting that Chris and Samantha were invited to because they live in Reston and have an interest in Reston. This visioning study, which will probably come to the ARB at some point, they're starting to look at viability for different uses in the Lake Anne Historic District and outside of it, one of which is the Washington Plaza Baptist Church, which is a contributing resource in the district. It's in a prominent location on the plaza right by the lake. What we were told is that they have an aging population that they are dealing with, and the building is not accessible. So part of this visioning study is they're going to look at like options in terms of viability. Like if the church were to invest in updating the building and making it more accessible, if the church decides to sell the building, what other uses could be put into it. So that will come to you at some point. I know there are public meetings that different members have attended. I just wanted to take the chance to tell everyone that we had that conversation. I think it was productive. It was very, very high level. Chris and Samantha get a lot of feedback, so I just sat there and listened, but it was productive, and it's the same consultant that they've been using for the first two phases, so.
Thank you. Okay. Before your new business, Joe, I want to remind everybody that we have a meeting on Monday. Please check your emails before that meeting. We've had some changes to the agenda and there very well may be some other information that we need to check up on. So please be watching your email between this evening and Monday's meeting. Mr. Plumpy, you said you had some new
Yeah,
business.
just real quickly, this Saturday at 6 to 8 is Richard Pierce's funeral memorial in Old Town Alexandria. It's at the Gatsby Tavern. I was planning to go personally, but my sister's flying in to help my wife. She lands at 7 p.m., so I cannot make it there, so I apologize, but just FYI. The other thing is in my office space, I did a lot of purging in my office space, okay, and I found this sign that, if you call me, we were thinking about signage to enter at the nodes. Once you enter a historical district, there'd be a sign, Fairfax County sign that says this is, Mill Creek or, whatever it is, historical district, the Reston Historical District on certain roadways. And does the board have any desire to do that? It wasn't a gaudy sign. It's a brown sign, it has the Fairfax County seal on, it says historical district.
New York does that. It's like a different shade, whatever, brown.
Yeah, it was a brown,
This has come up before.
Yeah,
many
I'm
times,
not
many
saying
years.
yeah or nay, I just
The
said,
question really is money.
well, we got
Could ask the neighborhood to fund it. I've seen that happen.
I don't think that's really going to fly in our historic overlay districts.
Agreed.
I just brought it up.
No,
I was
I
cleaning out my office, and, hey, it's never got.
No, it's one of those things with the county museum that should be raised periodically.
It's a physical sign you have?
Oh, yeah, metal sign. It says, yeah, I'll bring it in. It was a mock-up of one of the historical districts. It's in my office because, I'm cleaning up my office, I'm putting it up for sale, so someone will buy it.
What's happening?
Stealing signs, great signs.
I didn't realize there was an actual sign.
Yeah, it's an actual sign. It's an actual sign. I'll bring it in. It's not graphically impressive, but it's your typical Fairfax County sign that says, here's the seal, and here's the district, and that's it.
So
If the community wants it, I'm fine with it, but it sounds like they wouldn't.
driving by Holland Hills in the past 2 days, I frequently drive, they have a wooden sign about 3.5, 4 feet high, about 5 feet wide.
Piece of plywood?
Is it T111?
No.
Can't find it. Can't find it.
And it says Holland Hills. It's been around forever, but it'd be great if that said,
Well,
reference to historic.
there's a smaller sign on top that says historic district.
Is there?
They put that up after they got the National Register nomination.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But it doesn't say historic overlay district.
Again, driving by, not walking by.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
Look, listen, I'm not in favor of it or against it. I just want to say I found it. Put it on an agenda item sometime just to discuss.
You should put that in the ARB archive.
Yeah.
You don't bring it up anymore?
No, you
No.
bring it in
Give it
and
to Daniel.
I will.
Daniel,
I
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Has a couple of.
Daniel's looking to decorate his space.
Cubicle.
Yeah, right.
From angry homeowners, it has a couple of bullet holes. in it.
Shotgun pellet holes.
Pretty much.
Has the board ever gotten together socially, like at the holidays or maybe if we have the budget, maybe that's something
It'd be a
We
public
wanted-
meeting.
it would be a public meeting?
More than two of us.
Make it a potluck and let's see what they bring us.
It's cool. We all attended like Councilman blah, blah, blah's end of year celebration. That would be a public meeting?
There's a whole lot of trouble with FOIA right now. There was a judgment about a year ago that made everything under FOIA become very stringent.
Yeah.
In every state or just?
In Virginia.
In Virginia.
Oh.
Supreme Court decision. It was a Virginia Supreme Court decision.
So then, Mr. McKay's New Year's Eve thing was canceled.
No, I think he got COVID.
Yeah.
Got
yeah,
COVID.
Did they never have it?
No.
No, he could have that because it was open to the public.
Okay.
See, if we have something
Well,
in
we
an
can have a
event,
party after this meeting. That's what we.
Yeah, but you have to have it open to the public. That's why we went 2 by 2 to go see.
We just put it at the end of the agenda and don't tell anybody we're staying afterward.
That sounds like it.
Executive session.
Oh,
No,
I'll do a holiday open house at my house, timed entry.
John, just call it executive session requires.
8:15.
the last motion.
all right, Ms. Wong, yes.
Go ahead.
I do have all the business update on the Lake Ann HVAC system.
Oh, yeah.
So Resident Associate has a referendum vote, and the vote result came in yesterday. It didn't pass, so
Good.
nothing got changed. So everybody still have to work on the central system. And the other update is from the co-op. The co-op, actually, I pretty admire what they do. In a very short time, they start to gathering the salt, they talk to engineer. They have 3 rounds of financial study. So they are on the path to make the system work for this summer. They already secure one of the condominiums subscription, but they haven't closed their sign up period. So we don't know the result. We will have a good idea by the end of this month.
Okay, so by next month or next.
But that,
Right.
having that referendum not pass.
Oh,
is
that's
really up-
huge.
Yeah.
That is
Just-
huge.
That means everybody's still liable to be part of that system.
With all the noise in the neighborhood talk about these things, half is not passed is really huge.
Okay. Mr. Burns.
Yes, I want to report that I attended the Fairfax County Exceptional Design Award presentations. And it was a very nice little ceremony and then a nice food afterwards and such. And anyway, it went well.
Do we want to do a preservation award? Right?
Well, Exceptional Design Award, they could have a project come in as a
Yeah.
preservation.
Oh, has that ever happened?
Occasionally.
We tear them down
Mostly
here.
mostly it's greenfield construction. Actually,
I mean, it'd be a nice way to toot our horn,
Yeah.
like, hey, we're doing
Okay.
good work.
but one of the things that won an award this year was the conversion in a Tyson's office building, the former restaurant, into an amenity space for tenants in the building.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so it has like a
flex space.
sport room and a ping pong room and a, quiet room and an exercise room and stuff like that. That did win an award. So that was in an existing building at least. And another one was a new building built within an existing school campus. And it had to fit contextually.
Okay.
And so that should have been pretty nice. But for the most part, it's all greenfield construction. So far, it's not brownfield, which is good.
Was the applications good this year? Because is there a website that shows like the winners yet? Or-
Yeah, so
This is for last year,
this is,
from last July.
You were not.
yeah.
No, he.
Okay.
I was a juror and they're now finally getting around to giving out the awards.
Holy crap. That's
Yeah.
pretty.
9 months later.
9 months later.
Because usually it's in the same year, right?
Yeah, you would expect to, except, but
Couple of years.
we had the tree awards.
Oh.
The tree awards
Right.
is part of it.
What's
They give
tree
people
award?
awards for preserving trees and planting
Okay, I
trees.
can't.
No, honestly, that.
I know, it is, and it kind of notches down the design awards in my mind.
Yeah, because the trees go first.
It's like, Susie Homemaker,
Yeah.
you know.
And then there was some other award that came in. Honestly, I just like, didn't pay any attention to this. But the whole thing, you can go watch it online.
That's
Like you can just scroll through the first 2/3 of it to get to the architect.
I'm surprised it wasn't like 3 months after July.
No, it wasn't. It
That's
was
weird.
just a
Yeah.
week or two ago.
Yeah, that's weird.
Is that the new standard now?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to ask commercial
It's a
college.
change. Sorry.
But if anybody's really eager, there'll be another opportunity this coming year. Traditionally, the ARB chairs, the ARB representative chairs the thing. And historically, it had always been the chair of the ARB chairs the design review committee. But then.
Yeah, I did a couple times.
But we had the period when our chair, Dick O'Brien, was a bureaucrat. who is an extremely good chairman. He's a government employee, high level. He's an extremely good chairman, but he was not an architect. So during the Dick O'Brien years, which were fairly long, like 10 years,
But anyway, be that as it may. But when you're, ask Mr. Daniel, if you're chairing this, the last thing you want is for the entire tenure of your time as chair to also have to do this.
Yeah.
It became burdensome. I know I experienced it myself when I was chair.
But now,
Be that as it may.
Any,
now any of us can do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Great.
I did it, you did it.
Yeah,
actually always, anybody could do it.
and the jury has a representative.
Not it.
I can't.
Not it.
You're there.
They don't need to be-
AIA, the Virginia chapter, ASLA has a representative, there's an engineer, and there's a planner.
That's a good group. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. This was a thoughtful group. You can, it's all up online now. You can both see the awards and the winning entries, and you can see the tape of the award ceremony.
I won't watch that. I think it's too long, but.
Well, you just, like I said, scroll through the first 2/3 of it.
Well, maybe they should
have
go
a-
back to giving us glossy booklets with the award winners.
Not
They don't do
sustainable.
that anymore.
Not sustainable.
That would be very
don't?
facetious. No, they don't do
No,
that.
it's all, you know, you
It's
don't
all
get, you
electronic.
don't get a
yeah.
booklet
It
anymore.
used to be a.
Yeah.
Digital application.
Save those trees.
Scrolling through the pictures right now.
Okay, there you go.
And the thing that annoyed me is that the two of the top projects were Bob Gurney houses, just extraordinary. He didn't show. I think that's kind of tacky.
All right.
Did that go on the record?
Any other new business?
Strike a comment.
There's nothing further to say.
All right, any other new business? I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Move. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Adjourned.
Daniel, are we allowed to eat this?
See some of you on